Hi friends, this is host Eric, host talking with fast people, and world's greatest philosopher, also known as world's most correct person. And don't worry, I get it. Nobody cares, Eric. Nobody cares how correct you are. Nobody cares about the fact that what you're saying is correct. Least of all, nobody's impressed. Most of all, nobody's impressed by you being smart or correct. I get that. I get all of that, okay? This video here is about how everybody's wrong. As usual, everybody's wrong, and what are you going to do about that? Well, you're going to have to explain to them why they're wrong. And what they're wrong about is this fundamental thing here. People don't understand what language is for. The job of language is to allow each of us to be exactly what we want to be. So if we're an agent who's looking to receive presented truths, then we use language accordingly. And we use it to render everything else in life into something that stays put according to the ways that we want it to stay put. So when I talk about you personally, I'm rendering you into an object. I am observing you. You are just the object. You stay put. But of course, you're not an object. You're a subject and an agent and an object as well, like every other human being is, right? But we use language to be the sovereign, to say, no, the world will stay put in the ways that I want it to stay put. So what motivated this is I was sitting here just laughing my ass off thinking about this ridiculous thing these ESFPs did. And then what the implications of it are intellectually. So the thing is, if you have 4th or 7th slot NI, you're going to be confronted with situations like this continually. So there's these guys who had to both be ESFPs, I guess. I don't know, maybe one of them was an ISFP. They go around to places and like try other cultures' shit or whatever. And so they went down to the rainforest and they tried this thing that's supposed to be like what the natives do instead of modern medicine, which is bullshit, right? They they poison themselves with these fucking frogs. It's not even like to trip out, right? To get the poison into them, they have to first scrape themselves all up. So they have like open wounds all over themselves. And they rub toad poison all over themselves, which apparently is incredibly painful and gives them like fevers and shit. And then when they're done with that whole thing though, oh my God, they feel so much better. Why are you banging your head against the wall? Because it feels so good when I stop. Anyhow, they then think that this somehow protects them from diseases. It's a horrible thing that they're doing. Like, well, I mean, if it sucks so bad, it's gotta be helpful. This is the kind of shit that people do if they've got fourth slot NI or 7th slot. Like my daughter explained to me that she doesn't care if it only helps 0.001%. I should still get a booster shot if it's going to have any impact at all on whether or not I can still be alive. Percentages don't work that way. Risk doesn't work that way. If you want to do something interesting at all, like if you want to do something super interesting and understand all of of people's nonsense mostly, just Google fallacy risks. I mean, risk fallacies. Types of risk fallacy. The point is, probability only works like that if you've got repeated instances of the same event, right? And then, regardless, I don't want to explain probability like that to you right now. That's not the point of this. The point is, so how do you deal with it if you've got 4th slot NI or 7th slot NI? When later on, those idiots catch a disease that requires them to go to the hospital or something, right? So let's say while they're out learning about the magical wonder of nature's cures, they contract something like, I don't know, a tapeworm or a parasite or something that they don't want in their body. And then they have to go take modern medicine to get rid of it, right? Well, they just don't even remember or care or think about at all the fact that not 2 days before they were claiming this ridiculous nonsense was going to prevent them from ever needing modern medicine again, right? It doesn't matter. You just deal with it when you deal with it, and you don't worry about the meanings of things, right? So the point is, we're all like that. And in the sense that we all have our weak spots as well. There's just as bad a kind of retardation that comes from the other kind of over-intuiting. For example, Rachel had neuropathy and serotonin syndrome, okay? Both of which stemmed from this night of doing drugs that featured primarily DMT. Now, even though they were concurrent in their onset, more or less, and that they were that of the problems, the one that was very obvious was the serotonin syndrome, which is this. If you're on SSRIs like Rachel was on, it lasts like a whole month, or even like 6 weeks, where like she literally couldn't like get up for more than like 2 hours a day at max, you know. And then it turns out, despite my intuition that this was impossible, that in fact it was nitrous oxide responsible for the neuropathy, and DMT that was responsible for the serotonin syndrome. And they were totally unlinked. So, in other words, we keep doing nitrous, it's going to make the neuropathy worse, right? And the fact that if we stopped doing DMT has absolutely nothing to do with our neuropathy. Even though they were concurrent in terms of time, it seems insane that they could be. She'd have 2 separate significant issues concurrently arrive from 2 separate drugs, having absolutely no linkage to one another. It's just that's the sensory reality of things. That's the non-intuitive reality of things, you know? And so what do? I say, that's not possible. There's no fucking way that this neuropathy that occurred concurrently with the serotonin syndrome is not a product of the same toxic drug interaction. It's just, how could that be? So then I had us continuing doing nitrous, or I kept doing it, and she likes to party too, you know. Predicated on that intuitive reality that turned out to be totally false. In fact, nitrous causes neuropathy, and the serotonin syndrome was caused by DMT plus her SSRI. Just goes to show you, right? So whose retardation is worse? Well, their retardation just gets them frog poisoning for a day, whereas my retardation causes us to continue worsening Rachel's neuropathy which takes like a long ass time to get better from. You do get better. I didn't realize, I didn't accept the reality really until I gave myself neuropathy from doing nitrous. That's what it means to be an SI person too. So being ultra intuitive plus SI means that kind of retardation. So when you're wrong intuitively when you're me, you're catastrophically wrong. It's just I'm very rarely wrong because I'm SITI, which means I have a lot of rigorous like standards to meet before my natural skepticism meets its like okay fine. But when I am wrong, it's because I've over-intuited something that seems like I was with my dad, right? If you're telling me that my daughter is the only trustee, I'm removing you from the trust, Eric, and I look sad, and you go, don't you know what that means? Ha 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 ha. That means I'm going to say like, yeah, I know what it means. Are you trying to rub it in? I'm no longer on the trust. I'm just mom's POA now. I get it, I guess. Thanks for being so shitty. Instead, it turns out that for as long as my mom's alive, the POA is where all the power is. I even have the power to amend the trust. So why did he say those things to me? Because he had zero intuition at all. He didn't know why he was doing things or what meaning they had. He was solving problems that were no longer his to solve. He's trying to solve problems after he's dead. Like, he's trying to use expert intuition to be like, well, how am I going to continue solving problems after I'm dead? You're not, motherfucker. Obviously, you got to be so anti-polar to think you can continue to do that. Your job's done now. When you're dead. You don't have to worry about things like problems to solve anymore. Duh. You don't intuit past your own death. When you're dead, then, hey, the story's over. The main character has died. The whole reason all of the rest of you exist is because of me. And because so you can pay attention to me. Once I'm dead, then something's gone catastrophically wrong. Why did we even begin writing this book in the first place? Right? If the main character is just going to die all of a sudden for no reason. Anyway, there's some wisdoms for you. The wisdoms of the mushrooms. Yeah, remember, trip wisdom is always bullshit, except when it comes from me. That's just being an ENTP, and there are very, very few actual ENTPs out there. It's not like I don't, and you don't want to be one for fuck's sake. Who would want to be this retarded? Look at this. Look at my space. Look at all this trash. You should see the trash in the kitchen too. It's just all piled up like as though you can just continue piling things on top of the trash and it's gonna go away by itself or something. But you just gotta take it out to the trash can, Eric. For God's sakes. You don't want to be like this. You don't want to be like me. Like, what you see is the fun part. Well, and how I'm on mushrooms, I'm having fun, and like now I want to talk to everybody and tell them things. You don't want to be like me because you're only seeing the parts you see that are the fun parts. The rest of the parts all suck ass. Like being wrong about something, so convinced of it that you continue having both of us doing nitrous on the presumption that there's no possible way nitrous is responsible for neuropathy since obviously it was the DMT drug interaction, and then be totally wrong about it. Why would anybody want to be like me? Why would anybody want to be like, my dad deserves to go in the dumpster because I intuited everything rather than reading any of the documents? Nobody should ever want to be like this. It's horrible.